We are back with a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be doing our final NBA mock draft for the 2022 NBA draft season. I'm so excited for the draft, man. It's in 2 days of time as I'm recording this video. Cannot wait to see what goes down. I know some trades are going to happen. I know some picks are going to be made that are going to be like, whoa, that's a reach. Whoa, that's a steal. Like, I'm so excited for this draft, man. I'm excited. I'm as excited for this draft as I have been for any other draft. Me being a Heat fan, we'll see what happens whether we trade or keep the pick. But even for like other teams and stuff, I'm so excited. Thank you all for 100 subscribers. You guys have been great. Let's get to 200 as soon as possible. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft. This is going to be my final mock draft, like I said, before the draft, which is in 2 days time. So I'm kind of sad that the mock drafts and stuff are ending, but I will be giving my draft reactions and like grades and winners and losers and stuff like that after the draft. So draft content will still be there, but I definitely will be transitioning more towards like NBA content, towards the season, free agency, stuff like that. So yeah, keep piling up the the likes and the subscribes and the comments and stuff like that, and let's keep building this community onto 200, man. Let's get right into it. Full first round mock draft on fanspo.com. Shout out to Fanspo for being a great site to use for the mock draft, for the mock draft simulator. Let's get right into it. So with the first overall pick, as always, the Orlando Magic are on the clock. And I've kind of been consistent with this number 1 overall pick, so I'm going to continue to do so. This mock draft is going to have some variations, to the last couple of mock drafts that I've done. It's not going to be the exact same picks, because I have thought over a lot of these picks, and I had to do double takes and stuff like that, and rethink some of the picks that I had made in the past. But with the number 1 overall pick, we're keeping this consistent. My number 1 player has always been Paolo Banchero, just because of his offensive upside. I know the defense is a question mark for a lot of people, but I think offensively, when you get a guy who's 6'10", 250, who can move like a guard, bring the ball up the court, play make at a very good level, and then score with the best of them. I mean, I think you cannot just pass up on a guy like that. I love Chet, I love Jabari, but for me, Paolo's offensive upside just makes him the number 1 pick. And in Orlando, they don't really have like a go-to scorer with their young core. I think Paolo can really bring that dynamic to them if he's selected. Now, what do I think is going to happen? I think it's going to be Jabari, but we'll see. I think Jeff Weltman, like, he declined to say that whether the Magic worked out with Paolo or not, or Paolo worked out with the Magic or not. And Jeff Weltman is obviously the GM of the Magic, but there might be a smokescreen. All this Jabari and Chet hype that the Magic have been going on about. It might be a smokescreen. They might select Paolo number 1, but I personally would select Paolo number 1, which is why he's going to be my number 1 pick. But I doubt it's going to happen. I think Paolo is going to go to 3, the Rockets. I think the Rockets will take Paolo, but I would have him number 1. So he is my number 1 pick. At number 2, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder, and this comes down to preference. I would go Chet here. I would go Chet here. I think that Chet really fills a need that the Thunder could want. I think that the rim protection and the back line is something that's really missing with their squad. I like the young talent and the plethora of guards that they have, but I think as far as a true big body down low, even though Chet is not the biggest as for a center, I do think he has finesse, he has IQ to make up for his lack of weight or whatever you want to call it. He's a really good defender. His instincts are off the charts, and that's his biggest strengths to me, are his instincts, because offensively, defensively, he may not be the biggest, strongest guy, but his instincts keep him in the game. So I'm gonna select Chet number 2. I'm gonna select Chet number 2 to the OKC Thunder, and then at number 3 we got the Houston Rockets. Houston would just take whoever is not taken, I guess. Don't get too fancy with it. Jabari Smith is available for me, so I'm gonna take Jabari Smith Jr. Will provide really, a really good dynamic of spacing the floor. He's a good defender as well, switchable defender. And especially with the Christian Wood trade, Şengün is now the starting center. I like that Şengün and Jabari Smith Jr. fit, especially because Şengün is not the best defender, and Jabari Smith is a really good, versatile, switchable defender. And the pick and roll with him and Jalen Green would look nice. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, I don't think Jabari is gonna fall past 2, but I'm gonna select him at 3 here because he's available on my mock. And moving on to number 4, man, this is where it starts getting interesting, because I had gone with Keegan Murray in these past couple of 2 mock drafts. I'm flipping it. I said I didn't like the fit of Jaden Ivey in Sacramento, but you know what, man? If you're the Kings, and I thought over this so many times, I was like, who should I go with? Because like Keegan Murray fits better, Jaden Ivey's the better player. Like, what should I do? And I was like, you know what? The Warriors did this. They had Monte Ellis. They took Steph Curry. You know, Steph Curry did not want to go there. I'm not saying Jaden Ivey's going to be Steph Curry, but I think it's like you just got to go with the best player available at the end of the day. And, you know, who knows? Like, you don't pass up on Jaden Ivey because you have De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell. None of those guys are. I mean, De'Aaron is a really good player, but he's not a cornerstone of a franchise material, in my opinion. I think they obviously chose him over Tyrese, but that doesn't make him untouchable for me. I think Jaden Ivey will come in there, and even though, you know, there's reports that he doesn't want to go there and stuff like that, who cares? You just take the best player available. Your franchise has been terrible for the past how many of years? Get some, you know, seats in the crowd, man. Get a shining bright new piece for you, and that's Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey's gonna come in and be an electrifying player. I would also not mind if the Kings explored possibilities of trading down, especially because a lot of teams want to trade up. Like, I've seen the Knicks being a team. I've seen the Wizards being a team. Even the Pistons, who are at 5, like, if they want to go secure Jaden Ivey, like, whoever's trading up to 4 is trying to secure Jaden Ivey. So if you want to get future assets and stuff like that, or even like another pick in this first round, I would try to see if I could trade down and explore that possibility. But if you are convinced that you can get Jaden Ivey at 4, which you definitely can, because he's not going to be in the top 3 in my opinion, but then you take him at 4. And there's been some rumors that the Kings are trying to go after John Collins. I don't know if the 4th pick is going to be involved in that deal or not, but Jaden Ivey will be my pick here with the Sacramento Kings. As we move on to number 5, where we have the Detroit Pistons. Here I'm going to select Keegan Murray, man. He's the best player available. I think he'll fit with the Pistons really, really well. I think Jeremy Grant is expendable. I think that Jeremy Grant will get traded at some point or the other. Whether, you know, there's been discussions for him to Miami. Miami is apparently interested in Jeremy Grant. Portland is interested in Jeremy Grant. They have the 7th overall pick. So there's a couple of teams that Jeremy Grant could go to if traded from Detroit. I think that Jeremy Grant is a very good player. I think that a team could use him. I just don't think that he fits the timeline of the Pistons. I think Keegan Murray coming in there, even though he's an older rookie, I love the pick and roll with him and Cade and the pick and pop. And he'll just come in there and be a very good scorer day one. You know, he has a very high floor. He's a very safe pick. He's gonna be a good NBA player. I don't know if he has the upside of a lot of NBA players because of his age, but he's gonna be a very good NBA player day one. So the Pistons will select him at 5, and then we move on to number 6 with the Indiana Pacers. Now this, I'm gonna throw people for a little bit of a curveball here. I'm not gonna go with the obvious selection that a lot of people have been going for, or maybe this is the obvious selection. I'm just not aware of it. But I think I would be if it was the obvious selection, because this guy's my favorite player in the draft. So I'm gonna go with Bennedict Mathurin at number 6. I'm doing it. I'm a huge fan of Ben Mathurin's game. I think his upside is like a lot higher than people give him credit for. Just because he's a sophomore, I think people say, oh, he doesn't have the upside, he's going to be a high floor, low, like people put him in that Keegan Murray type class. I think his upside is a lot higher than people give him credit for, because he's a young sophomore. Even though he's a sophomore, he's only 19, bro. He has a lot of potential. His game is not complete or finished yet. Like, his offensive game is more than just being a catch and shoot player to me. I think the energy he provides is infectious. I think defensively, you know, he can use some work to become an elite defender, but I think he's already a good NBA defender from day one. And I just think he'll fit really well, you know, whether you want to put him at the 2 next to Tyrese. I think, you know, the Pacers apparently have been very adamant in pursuing trades for Brogdon and Turner. I'm pretty sure that was from either Woj or Shams, so that's pretty reliable. So you can put him at the 2, you can put him at the 3. Assume that TJ Warren does not come back because he's a free agent this season. And yeah, you have Bennedict Mathurin on the Pacers, so I think that's a very good fit for him. And I think he's going to be a great player. He's my favorite player in the draft, so I'm going to be biased here, select him at number 6. But I think he's going to be a really good fit in Indiana. So he will go at number 6. At number 7, we got the Portland Trailblazers. Now, I think that there's a strong possibility that this pick gets traded, you know, whether it's for Jeremy Grant, whether it's for John Collins. Like, if you want to maximize Lillard's window, which I think they do, that's why he's on the team, you have to, you know, look at as many trades as you can for draft picks and stuff like that. I think they should trade this pick for a win now player, like a star or someone like that. But I just don't know if they will. But we'll see. I think this pick will get traded, but, you know, it's up in the air. You know, Jeremy Grant being traded, John Collins being traded on draft night, the 7th pick being traded. It's up in the air. But if I would say if there was one pick that's the most likely to get moved I would say it's either the 4th pick or the 7th pick, just because of there's been a lot of rumors about these two teams trying to move their picks. But I will go, assuming that the Blazers do not move their pick, I will go with Dyson Daniels here. I know he's another point guard. I know, like, you have Dame, you have Simons, but, like, I just think that the playmaking and the versatility of Dyson Daniels would bring a whole new dynamic to the Blazers that they don't really have. Although Dame is a great player, I think Dyson Daniels, I think Dame is obviously a scoring first guard, right? He doesn't have to facilitate if Dyson Daniels is on the team. You can hand those duties over to Dyson Daniels, and then once Dame is off the team, or if he not retires, but if he requests a trade or leaves the team in free agency in pursuit of a championship, you can have Dyson as your 1, Simons as your 2. It says he's 6'6", but he seems more like 6'7", 6'8" to me. So I mean, I don't know, maybe this height is like without shoes or something, but I think he's a bigger player than what they give him credit for. I think you could play a 2 or 3 guard lineup if you wanted to, because he is so, tall and versatile. So, and he's a really good defender as well. So, I mean, if you wanted to play him at a small ball 3, you could, in my opinion, just because he's such a versatile defender. He's a bigger player. His playmaking level and versatility is very, very nice. I would go with Dyson Daniels if I'm the Portland Trailblazers at number 7. And then we have the New Orleans Pelicans at number 8. And here, man, I'm gonna go with Shaedon Sharpe, just because I think if you're the Pelicans, I don't think you need to secure like a boom pick like right here. I think you can take a risk here. Shaedon Sharpe is very mysterious, like, because a lot of people don't really have the information about him. He's a risky pick. I'm not going to act like he's a safe pick. He's a risky pick. But if you're the Pelicans, I think you can afford to take a risk, just because I think your rebuild/retooling stage is already at a higher level than a lot of these other teams in the lottery. So, if you're the Pelicans, like, you have CJ McCollum, like, Zion is going to come back next year. BI is a star. Like, Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, and like, these guys are going to continue to get better. Jose Alvarado, guys like that, they're going to continue to get better. Shaedon Sharpe has one of the highest ceilings in the draft if he hits. And if you're the Pelicans, just take that risk, swing for the fences, and if it pays off, it pays off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think you can afford to take a risk here. So I'm going to go with Shaedon Sharpe at number 8 to New Orleans. He's the best player available, and I think, if you're the Pelicans, you can afford to take a swing like that. As you move on to number 9 with the San Antonio Spurs, now this is going to be an interesting pick. I don't know if a lot of you are going to like it. I don't know if a lot of you are going to hate it, but to me, I think this is a good fit. I'm very high on this player, which is why I'm taking him this high. He's not really on this list that I'm seeing right now. I'm going to have to scroll down to find him, but let me see. Let me find him. There he is. My boy from Baylor, staying in Texas, Jeremy Sohan, will go to San Antonio at 9 in my mock draft. I don't know if it's going to happen in real life. I like Jeremy Sohan's upside. I think Pop would love a guy like him. He's switchable defensively, can guard 1 through 5. Offensively, he's a good playmaking hub. He can run the offense. He can finish at the rim. His shooting is like the only questionable part of his game, but if he improves that and becomes a good pick and pop player as well, the sky's the limit for him, man. He's such a good player. Like, he's just a smart, high IQ type player. And the Spurs love those type of guys. So you could go with Johnny Davis. You could go with Jalen Duren. I'm going to go Jeremy Sohan at 9. He's a top 10 player for me. Like, that's why I'm taking him at 9, because I just think that I cannot see a mock draft where he's not top 10, like, in my preference, because I'm biased towards him, obviously, because he's one of my favorite players, but I just think he's that good and that serviceable for a team. His versatility is off the charts, man. So Jeremy Sohan will be at number 9 for me. And then at number 10, we got the Washington Wizards here. And here I'm going to go with Johnny Davis. There's been some, it's kind of been like 50-50 as to whether Bradley Beal is going to stay or leave. Like, people don't really know. A lot of people expect him to take $250 million extension. A lot of people expect him to leave the team and opt out or / request a trade or something like that. I think Johnny Davis is a good pick for them, just because he's not a natural point guard, but they need point guards. They need point guards more than anything, and the point guard depth is not really here, especially because Dyson Daniels got taken. But I think if you wanted to, there is a world where you could play Johnny Davis and Bradley Beal in the backcourt and see how that works. But you need guard depth more than anything. And if Beal leaves, you definitely need guard depth. So Johnny Davis, I think, will be a really good player. He took some tough shots at Wisconsin, but he made them. And we'll see what happens. But I think Johnny Davis will be the 10th overall pick for me at yeah, number 10. So let's get Johnny Davis to the Wizards, and let's move on to number 11, where we have the New York Knicks. And here we're gonna secure their center of the future. Jalen Duren will go number 11 for me. Mitchell Robinson's injury history is pretty documented. Nerlens Noel, I'm pretty sure, is a free agent. There's uncertainty at the center position. There is uncertainty at the center position, but we're gonna go with Jalen Duren and see how it plays out. Jalen Duren is a very athletic lob threat who can protect the rim. He's like a bigger Robert Williams, or maybe even like a DeAndre Jordan, like somewhere in that mode. And he's just a man child for someone who's so young. Like, he's one of the youngest players in the draft. So Jalen Duren will go at number 11, and then at number 12 we have the OKC Thunder on the clock. And here I'm taking AJ Griffin. I know he fell from the top 10, and the reason he fell for me is because apart from him being a good perimeter shooter, I just don't really know what else he's going to bring to the table. I have him going to OKC because OKC desperately needs three-point shooting. They're one of the worst, or maybe the worst, three-point shooting team in the league, and AJ Griffin will definitely help that. He shot like 45% from three in college. Defensively, though, I just don't think he has it defensively. I think his hip movement and all that is kind of whack. It's kind of all over the place. He's not like a really good finisher at the rim either. So apart from him being a good perimeter shooter, which is a really good skill to have, what else does he do from day one? And I think the reason that you can take him in the top 10 or take him at 12 is because he's so young. So he has a lot of room to grow, and OKC has nothing but time to develop a guy like him. But he has tools for sure, man. He's not like a guy with no potential or no talent. He's just a guy that's very raw. Apart from him being like a good shooter, the rest of his game is very, very raw. So I think OKC can take a chance on a guy like this. Definitely will help their shooting issues, and he will go at number 12 in my mock. At 13, we have the Hornets. Now, a lot of people, I'm going with Mark Williams first of all, but a lot of people think that you can go with another player and assume that the Cavs don't take a center and take Mark Williams at 15, try to be smart. But I don't think you can do that. I just don't think you can afford to do that because, I said this in my last video, like it's a dangerous game playing that way, because a team can just trade up to 14, especially with a team like Cleveland who wants to trade down and is looking to trade down. Any team can trade up to 14 and say, I want Mark Williams at 14. If the Hornets don't take him at 13, I'm going to trade up to 14 and get him before the Hornets can get him at 15. That would be very stupid to not take Mark Williams at 13. You got to secure your guy. The biggest need, like, we always mock a center to the Hornets and they never take one. They better take Mark Williams, bro. If this is not the pick, if Mark Williams is not the pick at 13, I don't know what the Hornets are going to be thinking. Like, I just don't know. Unless Jalen Duren is on the board, which I don't think he's going to be, but Mark Williams has to be the pick at 13. Like, this is a no-brainer. This is like one of the easiest picks in the draft. North Carolina guy too. So yeah, Mark Williams will go to Charlotte at 13. At 14, we got Cleveland. I'm going to go with Ochai Agbaji. Just a good versatile player. Offensively, I think he just doesn't have to do too much in Cleveland. Just has to catch and shoot, play his role. Pretty good defender. He's an older rookie, but like Cleveland is just pushing for the playoffs anyway, so he doesn't have to, he knows his role. He doesn't have to, take time to get used to his role. So that's a good trait to have for a guy that's, going to a team that's pushing to be a playoff team. And that's what Cleveland are doing. So Ochai Agbaji will go at 14 for me. The only thing preventing him from going higher in a lot of people's mock drafts is the age. But like I said, Cleveland is a very good fit for him because they don't need him to be, a project or anything like that. He can just come in day one and just catch and shoot the ball and just be a very good player. So Ochai will go at 14. And then at 15, we got the Hornets again. And here I'm going to go with Tari Eason just because I think the Hornets desperately need defenders. I think Tari Eason is a very good player. I think that, defensively we saw how the Hornets struggled, especially in that play-in game versus Atlanta. Like, they were not defending anything. Tari Eason is probably the best perimeter defender in the draft. He's just an animal defensively. Offensively, he's pretty right-hand dominant, which is like one of his biggest, weaknesses. A lot of people don't trust his left hand. But in transition, he's a very good finisher at the rim, and he can definitely help their transition offense with him and LaMelo, and you add Mark Williams there too. So I like Tari Eason in Charlotte, so I'm going to go with him at 15. And then at 16, we got the Hawks. And there has been rumor that this pick might get traded in a John Collins potential package, but if they were to keep the pick, I will go with Malachi Branham. I've gone with Malachi Branham at 16 before. I just think that he'll fit really good next to Trae Young, be that off-ball player, but he can also play on the ball if you need him to. Just a good player. Defensively is the only, really question mark for him about me. about him for me, but I think that Atlanta, is a good fit for a guy like him, especially because they're kind of unsure at the shooting guard position. Is Kevin Huerter the guy? Bogdanovich is he the guy? Like they had success bringing him off the bench. They don't really have that shooting guard of the future, so I'm going to go with Malachi Branham, and hopefully he can be that guy for them. He's only 19, so he has a lot of room to grow. And then at 17, we got the Rockets. Now, I've gone with the point guard for them over a lot of these other mock drafts, but the only reason I'm not going to go with the point guard here is because they have the 26th pick, and I think they can secure a point guard at 26 because the point guard class is not really deep, or not deep, but it's not really, great. Like, there's a lot of point guards that you can get later that you don't need to, reach and take one at 17. I think you can secure your wing right now and then take a point guard at 26. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm taking Ousmane Dieng at 17. I think Ousmane Dieng is going to, he's a very raw player. He's a project. But like I said, for OKC, I think Houston is a rebuilding team. They have nothing but time to develop a guy like this. He's a point forward. He's going to be a good player in Houston, man. He's going to be a really good player wherever he goes. But in Houston, I think is a good fit for him, especially because they need a wing as well. So he will go at 17 for me. And then at 18, we have Chicago, who I think needs a center, but I would not reach on any center up here. Like, I'm not a Walker Kessler fan. And I don't think you could take a guy like Kamagate or Koloko or anyone like that at 18. So like I've done in the past, I'm going with EJ Liddell. Very good player from day one. I think he's going to be a tone setter defensively, can switch multiple positions and guard multiple positions. Offensively, we'll see. I think the shot is a bit flat, but he didn't knock it down at Ohio State. So although that was a concern for me, I mean, if it's going in, it's going in. And then he's going to be like a good pick and roll or a pick and pop type player. Underrated playmaker too for me. So EJ Liddell will go at number 18 to Chicago. Really will help them at that power forward position because they had run Javonte Green at that power forward position. Or maybe it was DeMar and Javonte, but I think DeMar's more of a 3 anyway. But Patrick Williams and him will be the power forwards next year if he is drafted by Chicago at 18. So EJ Liddell will be at 18. Now, I heard that the Chicago Bulls are also interested in trading that pick as well. I think packaging that pick with Kobe White. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But if they were to pick at 18, I would go with EJ Liddell out of Ohio State. And then at 19, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going to go point guard here, but I'm not going to go with any of these two. I'm actually going to go with the guy who's been rising a lot in these draft boards, and that is Dalen Terry, who's ranked 25th by ESPN. He's a bigger point guard, and I think he'll really help them defensively. He's a really good defender, and he's also a good playmaker. He does a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? I think the Minnesota Timberwolves would love a guy like that, especially because they've been shopping D'Angelo Russell, and D'Angelo Russell is apparently a goner from the Timberwolves. I think they're going to trade him away to wherever he goes, and I think they need a point guard replacement. I think Patrick Beverley will love a guy like him who does a lot of the little things and just hustles and plays hard. And he will rub off on the team for sure. Minnesota doesn't need any more guys who can score and not defend. And Dalen Terry can definitely defend. So he will go at number 19 of the Timberwolves for me. And then at 20, we have the San Antonio Spurs. And here I'm going to go with my biggest riser in the draft. One of my top 5 favorite players in the draft, Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara. I went with the forward with my first pick, so it's only right that I go with the guard here. I think that, they need an off-ball guy to play next to DeJounte Murray for the future. Whether that's going to be Jalen Williams or not, we'll see. But I think Jalen Williams definitely has the potential to do so. He's a very good player, man. I think Jalen Williams plays at his own pace, doesn't get sped up by anything. Just a very good high IQ basketball player. I think a lot of teams, especially San Antonio, who love those cerebral type players, I would love a guy like Jalen Williams. And at 20, I think it's a good fit for him. So he will go at 20 for me. As we move on to 21 with the Denver Nuggets. And here I'm going to go with MarJon Beauchamp. And MarJon Beauchamp is a guard from the G League Ignite. I think that, offensively, he hasn't really put it together with the shooting, with the three-point shooting and stuff like that. But defensively, he's a menace. He's really athletic. He plays hard. He hustles. He plays defense. Like, he's a winning player. A lot of contending teams would love a guy like him. He will take time to develop his shot, but once he develops it, if he does, like, he has basically everything else needed. So MarJon Beauchamp will go at 21 to the Denver Nuggets. As we move on to 22 with the Memphis Grizzlies, Now there is a possibility that Tyus Jones walks in free agency, and I think that possibility is very high because he's gonna command a lot of money. So I'm gonna go with Ty Washington, who's the best point guard available, and I think he can be your backup point guard of the future. Whenever Ja Morant needs a rest, Ty is more than capable of just being a serviceable backup to you if Tyus Jones is gone, which I think he will be. So Ty will go at 22 to the Grizzlies. And then we move on to 23, which we have the Philadelphia 76ers. Here, I just think you need a guy who can just catch and shoot next to James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, as well as Joel Embiid in the front court. I'm going to go with Blake Wesley. I think Blake Wesley is a very good catch and shoot player, but he can also create his own shot as well. He's an okay defender. I think he could improve on that level, but as far as offensive production goes, I think he's one of the biggest sleepers in the draft. I don't think a lot of people talk about him from Notre Dame. I think he's a good fit in Philly. I think Philly would love a guy like this at 23, so he will go at 23 to the Sixers. And then as we move on to 24, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. This is an interesting selection for me. I'm not a huge fan of this guy, but I think the Milwaukee Bucks could definitely use a guy of his profile. He's a very good defender. I think in the playoffs, you kind of miss Chris Middleton's defense. I know you miss his offense too, but like defensively, they weren't able to guard anyone when Chris Middleton was on the floor, off the floor, especially on the perimeter. You have Holiday to guard the guards, and then Giannis, who can switch and be a help defender if you need him to. But as far as an on-ball defender, I think they were missing that with Chris Middleton gone. Wesley Matthews was really their best on-ball defender, and he's kind of getting old in age. So I'm going to go with the guy who's not really projected to go this high according to ESPN, but I'm going to go with Kendall Brown at 24. I mean, you might say that's a reach, but I think that Milwaukee Bucks could definitely use a guy of his profile, so he will go at 24 to me for the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, he's going to be the 24th pick. As we move on to 25, we got the Spurs again. And here we're going to have him selecting Nikola Jovic from overseas, man. He's an overseas player. The Spurs love their overseas players. I'm not a huge fan of him just because he cannot defend anybody. I think he might be the worst defender in the draft. But offensively, he has a lot of tools at 6'10". He can handle the ball. He can defend. Not defend. He can handle the ball. He can play make. I meant to say, and he can definitely not defend. He can shoot the ball for sure. I think the Spurs would like a guy like him with his tools offensively, and I think if there's any team that can develop a guy defensively, it's the Spurs, because they just have that, militant type culture with Popovich there, who can just instill defense on you. So Jovic will go at 25, and then we have the Houston Rockets at 26. This is where I go with the point guard. This is where Kennedy Chandler goes for me. I think Kennedy Chandler will go to the Rockets at 26 in my mock. I took Jabari Smith. I took Ousmane Dieng. I think the only thing that's missing for them is a point guard of the future, which, Kevin Porter Jr. could be that, but if it's not him, then Kennedy Chandler, at worst can be a backup point guard for you. He is small, but he plays a lot bigger than he is, so he's going to go at 26 for the Rockets. And at 27, we have my Heat. I'm going to go with Jaden Hardy just because I think Jaden Hardy could really help our half-court offense. I think that he's a guy who can, he fell down a lot of draft boards because of his inconsistency and his inefficiency offensively in the G League. But I think he has a lot of tools. He's probably one of the best shot creators off the dribble, has one of the best handles in the draft. So he will go at 22 to Miami. We'll see what happens with them, whether they trade this pick or keep this pick. Not 22, sorry, 27. Whether they trade this pick or keep this pick, but if they do, Jaden Hardy, if he falls, is a very good player to select at 27. So he will go at 27, and then we have the Warriors at 28. Here we're gonna have him selecting Christian Braun. Christian Braun is a very good Swiss Army knife type player. The Warriors are just fresh off a championship. Congrats to the Warriors. I think Christian Braun can be a very good fit. He's a guy who can help a team win now. He does a lot of little things. He's basically does a little bit of everything, man. He's not really good at one thing, but he just does a little bit of everything. And the Warriors would love a guy with his talent and skill set. So he's going to go at number 28 for me. And then we move on to 29, where we have the Grizzlies again. I'm going to have him selecting a bucket getter, a guy who can create a shot off the dribble when Ja Morant is kind of struggling. If they need another shot creator, I'm going to have him going with Bryce McGowens. Out of Nebraska. I know the shooting splits are not that great, but he was basically Nebraska's whole offense, and he didn't have really much help to, take the pressure off of him. I think in Memphis, whoever gets Bryce McGowens is going to get a really good offensive talent. He just has to put it together, in a complete package way. But as far as talent and skill, he has a lot of that. His bounce is off the charts. He can shoot the ball. So yeah, Bryce McGowens is just a flat-out bucket. So he will go at 29 to the Grizzlies. And then with the last pick in the NBA, not in the draft, but in the first round in the 2022 NBA draft, first round, we're going to go with Jake LaRavia to the Denver Nuggets. And yeah, he will go at number 30. And the Nuggets will get Marjan Beauchamp at 21, a guard slash wing. And then they're going to get a forward in Jake LaRavia. You know, Aaron Gordon, he can be a backup to him. Or maybe if Aaron Gordon's out the door and after his extension, he'll be the starting force. So I think Jake LaRavia is a very good player. He's very good value at 30. And that will be the end of the 2022 NBA draft first round for me. That's my mock draft. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, man. I think I did pretty well. Yeah, I'm super excited for Thursday. You know, we'll see what happens. I know some trades are going to go down. Obviously, this was a mock draft without any trades, but yeah, this is my mock draft. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you guys for 100 subscribers again. Let's get to 200 as soon as possible. And yeah, I'll see y'all later as always. Have a nice day. Peace.